Hi, welcome from the Office for Education Policy. I'm Denise Arola, Associate Director, and I have a video for you here on the Atlas Interim Assessments, what parents need to know, especially if you're looking at those results and wondering how to interpret them. The interim assessments were built for specific purposes, and that purpose informs the design and the intended use. Parents, if you're going into the parent portal and looking at your child's results on the interim assessments, you probably have some questions. It's important to know what to expect from the interims and to interpret the results based on what they were designed to measure at the time that the assessment is being given. So if your student has just completed the first set of interims in grades 3 through high school, then there are some very specific considerations for how you interpret the reports. Make sure when you go to the family portal that you scroll down to where you enter your child's code to access the results. There are a lot of different resources available, but when you get to the family portal, the entry to that is just down a little bit as you scroll. The interim assessments assess how your child is developing and progressing in mastering grade level standards during this school year. And that is a really important caveat, that word, during this school year. The interims include items from the full blueprint of the test. And remember, the expectations for the test, the summative test at the end of the year, is that students will master grade level standards. So the interims have items that are pulled from across all the standards that your child is expected to learn and be able to demonstrate across this school year. You should adjust your expectation for your child's results based on when the interim is taken. Earlier in the year means your child has not had the opportunity to learn some of the standards, and so you don't expect that your child would be proficient in the grade level in which they are still learning. This is important, and I'll show you some demonstrations as we go. One of the beauties of this system is that it is aligned within the system and across the assessments. So these different assessments are designed to work together toward a common goal of supporting your child in learning and demonstrating their mastery or proficiency of grade level standards. So the interims are these tiny mini summatives, we call them. It's all the various standards they're expected to learn in their grade level or in their course, but it's given to them at the beginning of the year. This year, it started in October and goes through December. It will be earlier in the year in future years because all of the early work for standard setting will have been done. So you'll get a sense of where your child is relative to what will they be expected to know and be able to do by the end of the year. The second interim happens in February and it goes through the middle of March. That's for the 3 through high school and end of course exams. Now the K2 Atlas interim for reading and math, that will open in the winter. The companion to the beginning of the year are the screeners and testlets. So your child has probably completed the screener if you have a K2 child, may have done some testlets, but is busy learning grade level material for the grade they're currently in. With the Atlas interims for grades 3 through high school, we're going to see different things at different time periods. So you may already have interim results waiting for you in the family portal. So get your child's unique code, their birth date, and their first name, and you can get into the system and take a look. Take a look at the information on the overview page for your child's results. In this case, I have a fictional child, Stacy, who has taken the math, the English language arts, and the science. I can see the overall results here on this landing page. And what this does is it orients me to where they are during this school year, right now when they took it. So I can look at the date that they took the assessment, and I can look at what their score was, and I can see to what extent have they already mastered or demonstrated mastery of grade level material. Now, my expectation is not that they would be at a 3 or above at this point in the year. My fictional child here is, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But if your child is at level 1 or level 2, that is actually incredibly appropriate. I wouldn't expect a student to be scoring higher than level 2 unless they were already in the advanced category the prior year, because they were already above grade level and perhaps learning above grade level material. So again, your child is not expected to be at levels 3 and 4, and unless they are already above grade level. If your child is not at level 3, that's okay. They may not have learned some of the materials that they're being taught. Some of the students have gone home and said, oh my gosh, I did horrible on this test. I didn't know anything. But it's because the test is on material that they might be learning in the future. So in some ways, it's like a pretest of what they'll be expected to know and be able to do by the end of the year. And it might help them focus some of their learning efforts where they already are identifying, oh my gosh, I haven't learned this. When we get to this, I really need to pay attention and demonstrate that I can do this work. They are expected to show progress on their grade level standards as they learn throughout the year. So this is beginning of the year for the grade level they're in right now. So they're not expected to know all the standards, but they're expected to learn more and show progress on the winter and then the final spring summative assessment. The goal is to be able to see change as they go. So don't let them get upset if they're not at a high level at this point in time. This is more about what are their needs and how can you as a parent support them in their needs, and what might you need to advocate for your child. When you click on any of the subject tiles, you're going to get these tabs, this toggle view where you can toggle between the subjects, and it tells you the same information that you saw on the overview tiles. But what's really important about this view is that you have this little spot in the upper right hand corner that says download a detailed report, and when you click on it, you get this little dialog box. Click on the download and it's going to get you a 3-page detailed report about your child's assessment for this time of the year. Math and science are really straightforward because they have just the one assessment across the whole subject. But ELA includes a test in reading and a separate prompt in writing. So it's going to always look a little bit different. And again, this is about developmental progress. So you're looking at how did they do? What's really nice is that these reports are going to give you really specific information about what they are expected to do by the end of the year. And you'll see there'll be some supports for how you can help them. Let's take a moment on the first page of the detailed student report to take a look at what information is here and how it's intended to be used. So your child's score and performance level are explained in this graphic at the top. And this particular child has a performance level of 3, so they are demonstrating proficiency in the standards for 5th grade. So if I were the parent of this child, I would be asking what is being done to help accelerate my child or to challenge my child, because they are already demonstrating grade level proficiency, and it's December here that we're making this video. So your child's score can be compared to the district, the state, and the school. So all of that information is on this page. There's also some explanation of what the plus or minus means. Again, that's the margin of error around your child's score. So in this case, it's a 1,072 plus or minus 4 points. And that means that this student could have scored a 1,068 to a 1,076 if they were to take the same test over and over in a perfect world without error. So the scale that you're going to see, this is the 5th grade scale. And you'll notice that the level 3, the proficiency cut, is at 1,060. And the bottom of the scale is 1,000, and the top of the scale is 1,125. So what's different about the test this year is that that scale is the same for every grade level. And that's going to be something we're going to come back to when I show you how to interpret progress. That is on page 3. Page 2 of the report gives you information about the specific reporting categories in that subject. In this case, it's mathematics. And I have these little fighters, I call them. These are actually, this is the dot in the middle is the score point that your child earned. And then the little wings are the confidence band around it. In other words, there's a margin of error around all tests scores because there's error involved. We're not perfectly perfect. There's error involved in any human endeavor, and measuring complex subject areas like mathematics and English language arts and science, that's no exception. What these results mean includes what your child is expected to be able to do by the end of the grade level and where they are with that now. So in this case, when I look over here, I can see that this particular student, Stacy, was very strong in number and place value, was definitely strong in geometry and measurement and data analysis. And the area that they're still growing and probably needing some support and instruction is here with computation and algebraic reasoning. And if I look carefully at this, it's talking about what they need to be able to do. It's the computational and algebraic reasoning. Number 1, it mentions decimals. So a lot of times for 5th grade, we don't think about decimals, but the expectation is that during the 5th grade year, students will learn to operate with decimals, not just fractions, not just whole numbers. It gives you some really good examples of next steps that you could take with your child that would help them to develop these concepts a little bit more strong. So this is what I find to be the most incredible resource for parents. This helps you not only to advocate, but also gives you steps that you can take with your child to help them along in their learning. Again, they're not expected to have mastered all of this material. It's almost halfway through the year, so you might be hoping that they would be in the level 2 on the very first, on this interim because it was taken later. But if not, that's okay. What the advocacy you should have is, I see these areas that my child needs to develop. What can I do to be supporting them? There's some information here, but you could also talk to your child's teacher and find out what you can also do to help with progress. Page 3 of the individual student report, we sometimes call it an ISR, is where you're going to be able to look at progress over time. One of the beauties of this system is that it is aligned to Arkansas standards across the grade levels and within the subject area. So you should be able to monitor your child's progress over time. And when I say progress, I mean, how are they moving in terms of mastery of grade level standards? So orienting to this page, I put a dashed blue line because I wanted to talk about the fact that with this being the first interim, all you have on the page is last year's 4th grade test. That was the summative. You can see it down here in the table. And this year's first 5th grade interim. So these are actually assessing this. The one on the left is reflecting the student's assessment of grade 4 standards. And this student was advanced in grade 4 mathematics. On the right-hand side, this first interim is showing you how did they enter 5th grade in terms of the 5th grade standards. So now I'm looking at where is my child in 5th grade standards. And since it's the beginning of the year, you are going to see a dip from one year, from the end of the year before, which was a different set of standards, to the new set of standards that are at a higher level than the previous year. So that's important to recognize. The color codes over here are in the legend, and you can see the student score is this blue, light blue dot with the line that goes across, and you can see the slight dip. Level 1 is orange, level 2 is light green, level 3 is dark green, and level 4, or advanced, is blue. So it doesn't surprise me that Stacy took a little bit of a dip, because this is an assessment of a higher set of standards. So Stacy ended the year advanced, and so it doesn't surprise me that she's starting the year pretty well along in terms of her math. The scale is within grade. So in every grade level, the same scale score, the 1060, means the student has achieved their grade level standards or demonstrated mastery of the grade level standards. So it's important to think about time, because when the winter interims that are happening in February and March, when those are complete, you'll have another stacked chart here, and you'll be able to see where your child falls. And hopefully, if they're learning and able to demonstrate that learning, you should see progress from where they are right now, because they'll have mastered more of their grade level standards. So wherever they are at the beginning of their grade level, the next bar that pops in this winter should hopefully show improvements. And if it doesn't, then that's also a conversation to have with your child's teacher. Why did my child go down versus go up? What can we do? So these are really important pieces of information. If you understand them correctly, they can really help you advocate for your child's learning, and as a parent, support their learning, so that you've got the family and the school working together to make things happen for your child. The same information is available for each of the subjects. So science is going to have the reporting categories of earth and space science, life science, and physical science. You're going to see where they did better and where they didn't do as well. And honestly, it could just all be about instruction. For example, we may be doing more right now in earth and space science in the 5th grade classroom, and we're going to be getting to life science as we get into the winter. Or we could be getting into more physical science as we get into the winter and the spring. So timing with interims is important for calibrating your expectations. If this is the first one of the year, then we don't expect our students to already be mastering the material. They're supposed to be learning the material. And if they are already mastering the material, then you would advocate for more challenge for your child. If they are learning and maybe at a low level 1, you'd be advocating for support and perhaps for some extra time if that's even needed. It's really more about watching their learning as they progress through the year. And finally, English Language Arts. It has the additional information regarding the writing of your student. In this case, Stacy took a narrative, did a narrative writing, and maybe next time she'll get to do an informational writing piece. It tells you what was expected and what her score was out of the possible points. You can also see that of all the different areas here, writing and language and reading fundamentals and vocabulary were the 2 areas where she probably needs to spend some time really, learning and focusing on growth in those areas. Reading fundamentals and vocabulary becomes really important in that. And so that's something, those next steps for parents are really helpful if you want to support her in developing skills at her grade level in this area. And stay tuned. We'll continue to cover things that are coming forward from you all. Feel free to leave comments on Facebook or questions in Messenger if you would like for us to focus on any particular question that you need an answer to. Contact us at the Office for Education Policy, and we'll see you soon.